timing is divine even when it's confusing. Picture this. You meet someone and it's instant, a magnetic pull. He sees you, you see him. The conversations are natural, the chemistry is undeniable. You laugh at the same things, finish each other's sentences, and without trying, your souls feel aligned. It's not infatuation, or it's recognition, but just when things start to bloom, life pulls the rug out. Suddenly he's moving to another city, he's not emotionally ready, or maybe you're the one still healing. You stare at the ceiling at night asking, God, what was that? Why show me this connection if I can't keep it? Let me tell you something that might settle your spirit. Just because it's not yours now doesn't mean it was a mistake. Sometimes God gives us a preview to keep our faith alive. Just like a teacher handing you the syllabus before class even starts, not so you can skip ahead, but so you know what's coming. As Napoleon Hill once said, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. This moment of emotional frustration, this almost love, it's not rejection, it's redirection. God isn't late, He's preparing the stage. Your blessing hasn't been cancelled, it's being curated. If you've ever felt that kind of divine interruption, you're in the right place. So do yourself a favor. Press the like button, tap subscribe, and let's break this down together. Because what's coming next isn't just relationship advice, and when it's heart wisdom, we're going deep. Here's your fun task. In the comments, write this with boldness. Right man, right reason. Say it proud, say it playful, and say it like you mean it. Show him, show the universe, and most of all, show yourself. Because up next, we're diving into the first reason God sends the right man at the wrong time. And trust me, once you hear it, everything will start to make sense. Let's go. Number 1, to show you the blessing exists. You've been praying, not just once or twice, I mean really praying. The kind of prayer that soaks your pillow at night and steals your appetite during the day. You've fasted, you've journaled, you've cried into your steering wheel. And for the longest time it felt like heaven was silent. Then one day, when you're not even trying, he shows up. That man. The one who makes your spirit sit up straight. The one who doesn't just compliment your looks but connects to your soul. You start thinking, could this be it? Is this what I've been waiting for? Everything in you lights up. And then just as quickly, the moment slips away. Wrong time, wrong circumstances, wrong chapter. And now you're stuck wondering, why would God tease me like that? Let me stop you right there. That wasn't a tease. That was a taste, a sample of the blessing. Just like a parent walking their child into the garage and saying, see that car? It's yours. Just not yet. You're not ready to drive it. Not because you're incapable, but because the journey it's built for requires a level of preparation you haven't completed yet. That man wasn't a rejection, he was a reminder, a sign that what you've been praying for is real, it exists, and it's closer than you think. Napoleon Hill said it like this: what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. That's not just about money or goals, that's about love too. If your heart can imagine a partner who sees you, honors you, builds with you, and you truly believe that's possible, then you're already halfway there. But listen closely. Belief without preparation is like owning a map and never packing your bags. You've got to believe and build, hope and heal. Now you might be thinking, but if I wasn't ready, why did God let me meet him? Simple. Because God is a strategist, not a waster. He knew that if he didn't show you something, you were on the edge of giving up. You were about to settle for less. Lose faith. Slide back into something unhealthy just to fill the silence. So instead, he gave you a spark. Not the whole fire, but just enough to remind you, I'm still working on it. I didn't forget you. Think about when you go to a restaurant and the waiter brings you a tiny sample of what's coming out the kitchen. That's not the whole meal. But it's a promise. Your order is being prepared. That's what this wrong time, right man moment was. A divine appetizer, the promise that your love story is still on God's menu. Now maybe you're replaying every conversation in your head, wondering if you messed it up. Maybe you said too much or not enough. Maybe you jumped too quickly or hesitated when you should have leaned in. Let me be clear. If something slips through your fingers but it was meant by God, it can't be lost. It can only be delayed, because what's built in purpose doesn't fall apart over timing. It just waits until the time is right. So don't let the enemy twist the narrative. Don't turn this into a story of rejection. Reframe it as evidence. Evidence that your prayers are not floating in the air. They're circling, waiting for the landing strip to be cleared. And if your heart's been asking, but what now? I'll tell you. You prepare. You praise even when it hurts. You focus on your garden so when love arrives, it finds you blooming. Because God didn't show you the blessing to break you, He showed it to build you. This is just the beginning, and trust me, what comes next goes even deeper, because if you thought seeing the blessing was powerful, wait until we talk about why that man showed up to wake you up from a sleep you didn't even know you were in. Keep listening. You're about to see why the wrong time might just be the right classroom. Number 2, to wake you up spiritually. You were just going through the motions. Work, home, church, scroll, sleep, repeat, heart guarded, faith on autopilot. You weren't really expecting anything new. Not love, not connection, not joy, beyond routine. And then, boom. Out of nowhere, someone shows up and it's like your spirit blinks awake. You laugh deeper, you think wider, you feel more alive than you have in years. He didn't just make your heart flutter. He made your soul stir. That's no accident. That's divine disruption. Sometimes God will send someone who isn't meant to stay, but is absolutely meant to spark something. It's not about the relationship lasting forever. It's about what that relationship activated. Maybe you started writing again. Maybe you finally prayed with your whole chest instead of mumbling half sentences before bed. Maybe you cried, really cried, and realized you'd been numb for years. That's the power of a spiritual wake-up call. It doesn't knock politely, it shakes you with purpose. Napoleon Hill said, desire backed by faith is the beginning of all achievement. Let's break that down real easy. Desire is the want, faith is the fuel. Put them together, that's momentum. So when God allows someone to come along and stir your heart, it's not just romance, it's divine strategy. He's reawakening your desire and teaching you how to pair it with faith. Because here's the truth, sometimes it takes seeing what's possible to believe again. Just like a runner needs a finish line to push harder, you needed a glimpse of love to remember what you're capable of giving and receiving. That connection wasn't to distract you, it was to direct you back to your faith, back to your purpose, back to your Creator. So if you're feeling more emotional lately, if your dreams are louder, if your spirit is buzzing and you don't know why, trust that something sacred is being stirred. And no, it's not a mistake, it's a message. You were asleep in survival mode, He came to wake you up. And now that you're awake, what will you do with that fire? Keep walking with me, because up next, we're going to talk about what that connection often reveals next. The truth that there's still more work to be done within. And that, my friend, is where the real growth begins. Number 3, to reveal there's more work to be done. You met him and everything felt aligned. The way he looked at you, the late night talks, the vulnerability, you didn't even know you were ready to share. For a moment, it felt like your heart had finally found home. But then, something shifted. The conversation started to fade. His energy changed. You started questioning yourself, overthinking, getting anxious, maybe even getting angry. And before you knew it, the connection that once felt heaven-sent collapsed. You were left holding pieces, wondering, what just happened? Was this ever real? Let me tell you something that might sting at first but will set you free. Yes, it was real, but it wasn't ready. Not because you're broken, not because he was a bad person, but because God used that connection to reveal what's still unhealed. You see, some people are not sent to stay, they're sent to expose, not to harm you, but to highlight what's hiding under the surface. Insecurity, trust issues, fear of abandonment, patterns of people-pleasing, things you thought you'd buried, suddenly they're screaming for attention. And that's not failure, that's refinement. Napoleon Hill once said, "Your only limitations are those you set in your own mind." Let's put that simply. Most of what's stopping you isn't around you, it's inside you. Unhealed trauma, unspoken truths, unloved parts of yourself. And God in His mercy loves you too much to let you walk into your future with wounds that will ruin it. So He sends the connection not to crown you, but to cleanse you. He's not punishing you, He's preparing you. Think about gold. It doesn't shine until it's been through the fire. Not because it's unworthy, but because that heat draws out what doesn't belong. That man, that relationship was your fire, and it showed you your cracks not to shame you, but to call you into healing. So instead of saying, "Why me?" try saying, "What now?" Let the pain be your teacher, not your jailer. Journal, pray, go to therapy, get still. God is showing you what needs to be restored, not to delay your love story, but to make sure it can last when it finally arrives. Because here's the truth, you don't want a love that just starts well. You want one that can stand, and that requires foundation. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about what really builds that foundation. Faith. The kind of faith that doesn't just get you through, but lifts you higher. Number 4. To build your faith. You ever been in a space where everything around you screams, "Let it go," but something deep in your spirit quietly whispers, "Hold on"? That's not confusion, that's faith forming. It's that strange, holy tension where the facts don't add up, the clock is ticking, and your heart feels bruised. Yet you still believe. Not because the situation makes sense, but because something bigger is holding you up from the inside. That's not desperation, man. That's divine stretching. Maybe the distance is too far. Maybe He's not reaching out. Maybe the timing is off and the doors keep closing. And still, there's this small, unshakable knowing in you that says, this story isn't done yet. That's not weakness. That's your spirit in training. Because listen to me, faith doesn't grow when life is easy. It grows when you can't see how it's going to work, but you trust God anyway. Napoleon Hill once said, "Faith is the foundation of all miracles." Let's break that down real simple. Miracles don't land on logic. They land on trust. And when God makes you wait, He's not just making you wait, He's building something in you. Patience, strength, discernment, dependence. And yes, faith. Because it's easy to say, "I trust God," when love is flowing and everything feels good. But real faith is built in the fog, not the sunshine. Think of it like this. When you go to the gym, you don't build muscle by looking at the weights. You build it by lifting repeatedly, through tension, through resistance. That's what faith is. A spiritual workout. Every unanswered prayer, a representative. Every delay, another set. And just like your body gets stronger under pressure, so does your spirit. God's delays are not His denials, they're His design. A divine pause to teach you that your peace can't depend on proof. It has to come from belief. So if you're in that space right now, still praying, still hoping, still wondering, you're not crazy, you're being cultivated. Yet your heart is becoming good soil. And trust me, good soil always attracts the right harvest. And now that your faith is rising, let's take it deeper. Because next, we're going to talk about how God doesn't just build you for love, He protects you from settling for anything less. What happens when the bar gets raised forever? You're about to find out. Number 5. to keep you from settling for less. You tried, you really did. You went on the dates, smiled politely, gave folks a fair shot. You told yourself, he's kind, he's consistent, maybe this could work. But deep down, something was missing. The spark wasn't there, the ease wasn't there, and no matter how hard you tried to talk yourself into it, your spirit kept whispering, this ain't it. Why? Because once your soul has tasted real, it can't pretend to enjoy fake. That one connection, the deep one, the divine one, rewired how you receive love. You're not being picky, you're being pulled higher.
Let's get this straight. God didn't allow you to feel that kind of connection just so you could become miserable in comparison. No. He let you taste it to set a standard, to shift your chemistry, to make sure that next time you feel love, it's not just attraction, it's alignment.
Napoleon Hill said it like this: definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. That means when you know what you're made for, you stop settling for what barely fits. God used that connection to give you clarity, not confusion. You're not broken because average doesn't move you anymore. You're aligned. That's the gift and the challenge of elevation. Once you've looked out from the mountaintop, you can't go back to living in the valley and pretend the view doesn't matter. Now let's be real, there's grief in this too. Sometimes you miss how simple things used to be. You wish you could be satisfied with surface-level affection. You miss the days when you didn't know what you were missing, but that's how God keeps you on track, because without that awakened standard, it'd be too easy to fall for someone convenient but not called, too easy to slip back into patterns that feel familiar but won't lead to the future He's preparing. So if you've been wondering why you can't just like someone who checks the boxes on paper, now you know. That connection rewired your soul. It was never meant to lead you into disappointment. It was meant to lead you into discernment. So now that your soul knows better, you can choose better. Get ready, because next we're going deeper into the uncomfortable but powerful truth about growth. That love you felt? It didn't just shift your standards, it exposed the work still left to do. And that's where transformation begins. Let's get into it. Number 6, to motivate your growth. You ever look back at a connection and think, wow, if that had actually worked out back then, I would have ruined it. Not because you didn't love him, not because the connection wasn't real, but because the version of you back then wasn't ready to hold something that deep, that true, that sacred. Maybe you were still reacting from wounds, still carrying baggage, still people-pleasing, second-guessing, or staying quiet when your voice needed to be heard. The truth is, sometimes God sends the right person not to rescue you, but to reveal you to yourself. When that kind of connection enters your life, it acts like a mirror, a divine one. It doesn't just show you how much you want love, it shows you how much you still need to grow to receive it well. Not just in how you love others, but how you love yourself. Suddenly you see where your boundaries were weak, where your self-worth needed work, where you were still trying to earn love instead of embody it. That's not failure, that's refinement.
Napoleon Hill once said, "Deep strength grows from struggle." And he wasn't lying. That emotional discomfort you felt after that connection faded, that confusion, that ache, it was pressure. But it was producing something. It was shaping the next version of you. Because hear me, the love you're asking for isn't small. It's weighty, it's beautiful, but it requires capacity. And that means growth. God isn't just trying to give you love, He's trying to give you the ability to keep it when it shows up again.
Think about it. You don't hand a priceless vase to a toddler. Why? Not because they're bad, but because they're not ready to handle it. God is treating your love story with the same care. You're not being denied, you're being developed. So if He's pulling you into therapy, into deeper prayer, into solitude, into self-discipline, lean in. This is your becoming season. Don't fight it. Don't rush it. Grow through it. And here's the real beauty. Every step you take now is making you more magnetic to the very thing you once thought you lost. Because love, real love, doesn't show up for the version of you that's stuck. It waits for the version that's ready. And speaking of ready, what happens when your readiness becomes your testimony? When what you've grown through becomes someone else's reason to believe? That's what we're getting into next. And trust me, it's powerful. Let's go. Number 7, to create a testimony. Sometimes you sit there in silence and think, why now? Why him? Why like this? You replay every moment, every smile, every pause between texts, trying to make sense of why someone who felt so right couldn't stay. But underneath the ache, underneath the confusion, there's something else, something sacred. A quiet knowing that this wasn't just another chapter. This was a message being written in real time. You don't have all the answers yet, but you feel it in your bones. This story has purpose. See, some love stories aren't just for romance. They're for revelation. God isn't just writing your journey for you. He's writing it for someone else who's going to need your voice later. Someone who's going to stand where you're standing now, confused and weary, searching for a reason to keep believing. And your story, the one you're still in the middle of, will be the evidence that God still shows up in the mess, that he still heals what hurts, that he still brings beauty from breakdowns. Napoleon Hill said every setback contains the blueprint of a comeback. Let's break that down real easy. What feels like a delay or disappointment now? It's not the end, it's the design. The detour you're on is creating the very roadmap someone else will need. The same way someone's story gave you strength, yours will too. Because when people see you walking in peace after heartbreak, still loving after loss, still growing after grief, that's power, that's testimony. And here's the thing, people don't relate to perfection, they relate to process. So don't wait until you've figured it all out before you share. Even your waiting can be someone's wisdom. Even your not yet can point to a still possible. So if you're wondering why God let you feel something so real at a time so wrong, maybe it's because your breakthrough isn't just about getting the man. It's about becoming the woman whose story reminds others to hold on. And if you think that's deep, wait until we talk about how God sometimes lets you meet the right one just to keep you from going too far off the path. Because sometimes his no is the most loving redirect of all. Stay with me. We're not done yet. Number 8, to keep you close to God. So you've done everything you could. You prayed, you hoped, you tried to fix it, maybe even forced a few things, thinking if you just said the right words or sent the right message, it could all work out. But nothing changed. He pulled away, or life pulled you apart. And now, you're left in that quiet space. No clarity, no closure, just tension. Spiritual tension. The kind that keeps you awake at night, but drops you to your knees in the morning. And in that stillness where there are no more moves left to make, you realize the only thing you can do is surrender. Not give up. Give over. This is where God meets you, not in the noise, not in the chase, but in the pause, in the ache, in the place where your plans fall short and your heart breaks just enough for your spirit to open wide. And that, my friend, is divine design. Because sometimes God allows the uncertainty to remain, not to punish you, but to protect the connection between you and him. Napoleon Hill said, "A burning desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible." Let's say that in plain terms. If your desire is real and your faith is deep, then impossible isn't even in the conversation. But here's the key. Your desire must be backed by faith, not control, not manipulation, not overthinking, just trust. Trust that what's meant will not miss. Trust that what feels uncertain now will make sense later. Trust that even in silence, God is still speaking. Because here's the thing, God isn't just using this season to get you to the right relationship. He's using it to get you closer to Him. The delay is designed to deepen your dependence. The confusion is cultivating your clarity. Every unanswered question is shaping your ears to hear His voice above your own fear. And maybe that's what this was all about in the first place. Not just to find the one, but to find your anchor. To come back to the only one who never leaves, never ghosts, never changes His mind about you. So if you feel powerless right now, good. That means God can finally take over, because when you let go of needing to know everything, you make room to receive anything. And now that you've seen all the reasons why God may send the right man at the wrong time, take a breath, reflect, and remember, you're not behind, you're not forgotten, you're being crafted. And when it's time, nothing will stop what's meant for you.